Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All right. Tuesday, and all of our guests today brought to you by the Waddling Dog Pub, one of Victoria's historic watering holes. Welcomes you to come see why they are the talk of the peninsula. Their 50-seat patio is now open. The return of no-cover UFC night slotted to return in June, just a few days away. All while showing all the NHL and NBA playoff action, CFL around the corner. Also swing by their attached liquor store to pick up your Donnie and Dolly swag, including white bucket hats. There are countless reasons to come sit and stay at the Waddling Dog as we bring in TSN Scouting Director Craig Button. Craig, thanks for doing this, sir. Busy day in Calgary. How are you?
Yeah, busy day in Calgary. And, Craig Conroy becomes the new general manager, and somebody you're very familiar with, Dave Jonas, joins him. So, I think a really strong duo. I think Craig Conroy has worked really hard to, work in his off-ice career and develop to the point where not only he's been considered for GM positions in the past and has interviewed for them, and now he gets to take the reins of a team that he knows very well, a city that he loves, and I think Dave Jonas will be a terrific addition to the management group.
What are his priorities, Craig Conroy's priorities right now, Craig?
I think the first thing is a coach. I mean, he's got to determine who the next coach is, and because you have you have 6 players entering the last year of their contracts. And so, the players want to know who the coach is going to be. We heard what they have to say at the end of the year about they don't know if they want to come back. It ultimately led to the dismissal of Daryl Sutter. And so now the new coach not only has to affect change on the ice and positive change and positive results, but also a belief in the players that are pending unrestricted free agents, that Calgary is a place that they should consider and want to consider. And, when you're talking about really good players, Noah Hannafin, Elias Lindholm, Tyler Toffoli, Chris Tanev, these are really, really good players. Michael Backlund, who's been a longtime Flame. You got to really create an environment where those players not only believe that they can have a chance to succeed on the ice, but that it's a place where everybody can go to work knowing that the job is hard, but it's not taxing on them personally. Listen, it was a disaster here with Daryl Sutter this last year, a disaster. And that's not me. They all said the same thing. And keep in mind, last year they made the big trade for Huberdeau and Weegar, 2 really good players. They got to make sure that those players can find their way back to the level of success. I mean, Weegar showed it in the last couple of months. I think Jonathan Huberdeau acknowledged it. But that's Craig Conroy's biggest that's his biggest goal right now, get the next coach in place.
Craig, first time we're going to talk to you since Kyle Dubas, Brendan Shanahan, the old what happened there on Friday. Your thoughts on how all that played out?
Well, it's very interesting when Brendan went through, the
timeline,
the piece by piece, the timeline, everything, very detailed in it and everything that went with it. And, Brendan talked about back in March, wanting to get a contract done. Kyle certainly looking to get a contract done. And despite what Kyle said last Monday, a week ago Monday, Brendan still felt that he was somebody that, he wanted to, ensure could be the manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't think there's any question that Brendan Shanahan got blindsided on Thursday with what he described as a very different financial picture and a very different contract proposal. Brendan felt that they were pretty much to the finish line on a contract, and obviously Thursday really changed it. And so Thursday comes after Wednesday when Kyle was saying, no, I want to be the manager. And then on Monday, when he wasn't sure he wanted to be the manager, I really believe that Kyle was the architect of his own departure.
Yep.
And Brendan laid it right out and what he wanted to do. And people say, well, why didn't Brendan get it? Well, he was trying to get him signed. He wanted to get him signed. There was a timeline there. So I think that Kyle, for whatever reason and whatever his rationale was, and, Brendan addressed it. He said, hey, there's pressures in every job that we do in professional sports, but it's what we sign up for. And it gave Brendan a lot of pause for reflection and to think differently. And he came to a conclusion that Kyle wasn't the right person for the job.
Craig, I have to ask you, the Memorial Cup starting in Kamloops. We got Quebec, Seattle, Peterborough, Kamloops. Who do you like? Give us a preview of what you think of this year's Memorial Cup.
Well, I mean, from a perspective of big time franchises, you got the Quebec Ramparts, you have the Peterborough Peach, you have the Kamloops Blazers who are hosting. I mean, unbelievable when you think about the history of those franchises, and then you think about Patrick Waugh being part of it, and then you think about everybody in the history of the Kamloops Blazers, from Jerome McGinley to Daryl Sador to Mark Recchi to Shane Doan and everybody, Scott Niedermayer, all the great players, Ken Hitchcock, Bob Brown, the manager, everybody from Kamloops. It's an unbelievable. When you think about history of the Kamloops, it's unbelievable. Tom Gagliardi, the owner of the Dallas Stars and the majority owner of the Blazers. I mean, this is a pretty special time for him, especially given that Tom, their business is hotels and food and beverage, went through a very challenging time during the pandemic. So good for him to be able to host the Memorial Cup. Good for his team in Dallas to, be filling the building while the team is trying to find their way back in the series versus Vegas. But I think the favorite's Seattle. I mean, that Seattle team is complete. I don't see any, I know it's one game here, one game there. You got to get your game in order in a week. First of all, they don't come in. Seattle doesn't come in with any significant injuries or anything like that. And I think that not only are they positioned well from a health point of view, I think they're the best team. From the goaltender to the blue line to up front, I think they're the best team. And I put them clearly in the favorite category. It wouldn't surprise me one bit to see a Kamloops-Seattle Memorial Cup final.
Okay, of course, you covered the Centennial Cup with Brooks winning again. As for the Stanley Cup, Craig, a few weeks back, I seem to remember you picked Florida to win the Stanley Cup, didn't you? Or was that you?
I don't think so.
Did anybody? I asked Elliot the same question. Do you know anybody who predicted any type of playoff success for Sergei Bobrovsky and the Panthers?
No. On what basis could you predict it? I mean, they inched into the playoffs, and I'm hearing now, when they were healthy, they had a good team. I don't everybody can say they had a good team when they were healthy or when they're performing. The Florida Panthers got into the playoffs. The Calgary Flames had more points than the Florida Panthers, and they didn't make the playoffs. So, you know what? Good on them. I was in Minnesota with the North Stars in 1991. We went to the Stanley Cup final before losing in 6 games to the Pittsburgh Penguins. We beat the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed, and the 5th seed in that year's playoffs, Chicago, St. Louis, and Edmonton. I call it the Magical Mystery Tour because it was magical when you get on that kind of a run. Yeah. It's a mystery because your regular season gave no indication that you were capable of doing that. Exactly like the Florida Panthers. And I'll be very straight with you. I said this about the Montreal Canadiens in 2021. Not even the Florida Panthers thought that they could win. Yeah. I don't care what they say. They didn't even believe in themselves because there was no reason to believe in themselves.
I know you didn't play for them, Craig, but as we let you go, did you happen to grab one of those nifty-looking North Star jerseys back in the day?
Oh yeah. I got lots of North Stars. I got lots of. We just did the Centennial Cup, and the Battleford's North Stars lost in the finals. That's right. Brooks yeah. And I said to a couple of the people, "How do you not have green in your North Stars uniform? It's not right."
No, I totally agree. Among the best uniforms in NHL history. Craig, I'm jealous. Thanks so much for this. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great day.
You bet.